Something's wrong with that kid. His head don't work, it never did. You better not cross his path. He's a chain-smoking alcoholic sociopath.
Zip right up. Come one, come all. Everyone's a winner.
What a beautiful morning. Dew glistening on the dumpsters as the smell.
Stupendous.
Ach du Liebe. Kevin, I've been thinking of your brief marriage to the prostitute when you were 16, as well as the relationship you had with your mother growing up. I think that if we further explore the root of your discomfort and awkwardness in dealing with women, we might better be able to steer you down the road of self-recovery. Ow! Bad thing, Kevin! Bad thing! Don't make me call the guards!
Kevin backed off because lately the guards had been using mace. The old-fashioned kind.
Okay, Kevin. Can you tell me a little about some of your initial experience with girls?
Kevin was 13 years old, and he'd just been invited to his first birthday party. There were going to be some girls there, and he was pretty nervous. He'd overheard some kids at school who said it was going to be a make-out party. Kevin wasn't sure what making out was, so he figured he'd better ask his mom and dad before he went, so he wouldn't look like a moron in front of all the other kids. Kevin waited until his dad had to reload before he asked him how to make out.
Kevin's dad wasn't sure what to say. This was the first of the boy's formative life experiences that he hadn't slept through. He decided to give Kevin the loving guidance of his years of experience.
First you go downtown and pick a hooker. Then you do it. But make sure you do it before you pay. Otherwise she'll just call her pimp and have him work you over a bit and rip you off. That's how your Uncle Phil got the big scar on his head.
Kevin asked what you should do if the girl you were going to make out with wasn't a prostitute.
Helps to get her loaded. Just don't pick a girl who holds her booze like your old lady. Otherwise it'll end up costing you way more than a hooker. And since most hookers is better looking, that's a bum deal.
Kevin asked his dad if he'd ever been in love.
I think I loved your old lady once. Whenever I heard that sloshing sound when she danced, it brought a lump to my throat.
Oh, baby.
The lump Percy was talking about was when his mom socked him a real sweet one in the larynx for stiffing her with the bar tab. Kevin thought that maybe his mom might have better advice about girls, but he didn't know where she was and had to wait for his dad to empty his clip to ask.
She's passed out in the back seat of the car. I'm surprised she ain't woke up yet. Let me pump a few rounds in to shake her out of it.
Where the Christ am I? How's about making Mama some dinner too? Thanks, boy.
Mom had slept off most of her afternoon booze and hadn't really gotten started on her evening booze, so she was still pretty sober.
Mommy just drinks 'cause it helps her forget her family.
Kevin figured now was as good a time as any to ask her how to make out with a girl and be romantic.
Who is it?
Special delivery.
I really like the flower arrangement, but I'd love to check out your gift basket.
Kevin asked his mother what this had to do with romance.
Didn't you see him give her the flowers? And look, he's helping her stand on the rocking chair.
Then he asked his mother what she considered romantic.
Me? I like to get real tanked up and close my eyes and pretend it's not your father, 'cause he's not very good at it. I think of someone sexier. Oh.
Kevin thought that Mom was jumping the gun a little because she was talking about going all the way. So he asked her how he should act on a first date.
I pretty much gone all the way on every date I ever had. Even sometimes when it wasn't a date. You know, like when you want something you ain't got money for. But don't go too quick. And put a coat down so as you don't wreck the car seats.
Kevin was pretty sure that what his mom and dad were telling him was wrong. So he figured he'd just wing it and use common sense. It never occurred to Kevin that if he had any common sense, he never would have bothered asking his parents about sex in the first place.
Kevin's stomach was full of butterflies and cough syrup. He was hoping the cough syrup would make him more confident, but it didn't seem to be working. So he switched to rye and had a few smokes just to take the edge off. All the other kids going to the party looked really cool and popular.
Hi, you must be one of David's friends. All the other kids are down in the rec room.
David's dad was real nice. Because he was a recovering cross-addicted substance abuser who acknowledged a higher power and accepted life's obstacles.
This is a no-smoking house, you little freak.
Kevin didn't much like David's mom. He figured she could benefit from a good kick in the ass.
Tell her to kick your ass, boy.
Kevin decided he'd shake their hands and act polite instead, so they wouldn't think he was an ignorant idiot. Kevin really wanted to make a good impression. But he must have been a whole lot drunker than he thought, because when he stuck out his hand, he just kept going and fell right off the porch. All the kids sure looked like they were having fun dancing. Kevin really wanted to join in, but he was pretty sure things wouldn't work out the way they did in his head. So he just stood in the corner drinking. That was the kind of thing that made a lot of sense to Kevin. Kevin didn't like to do a lot of things without smoking, especially drinking. So he figured he'd sneak into the laundry room and have a few. When Kevin came back out, the music had stopped, and everyone was sitting in a circle around a bottle. When Kevin asked how you played, all the girls giggled, and some of them pointed at him. Kevin figured he'd better laugh along with them so they wouldn't think he was mentally retarded.
All you do is spin the bottle. When it stops spinning, you have to kiss whoever it's pointing at.
Kevin hoped his spin didn't point at Marty Graham, mostly because he didn't have a real good handle on the rules of the game. Marty secretly wished Kevin would spin the bottle towards him, mostly for reasons he wouldn't come to terms with until his late 20s.
Slipper the tongue spit, sir.
I'd puke for sure.
Kevin thought his first kiss had gone pretty well. It was his turn to spin the bottle, but before he could...
From now on, the two people have to go in the closet together for 5 whole minutes.
Kevin didn't like closets, because he had to sleep in one for 5 years when he was a kid, because his parents had rented out his room to some prostitutes. But he figured he'd smile and nod his head so all his new friends wouldn't think he wasn't cool. Kevin remembered what David's mom had said, and he was pretty nervous. He didn't know how to make the first move.
If you try and French kiss me, I'm gonna scream.
Kevin took a good luck drag off his smoke and went for it. He kissed her right on the mouth. Then something strange happened in his pants, and he got really scared. Kevin wasn't sure what to do.